by discerning a priest of God, you will realize that everywhere Abraham got to, Abraham was building altars. So you will see altars that are static. They are in a place, they are monumental. But you will see tents that are mobilized. Altars are always static, but tents are mobilized. Tents are not static. Everywhere the children of Israel they are going to, they will pack their tent. All right? And they will take it along. When they get to where they are going to, they will pitch the tent. But altars were not mobilized. Altars were static, because they are the portals of ascension. That's why the altar that Abraham had built a long time ago, where he hosted God, the moment his grandchild arrived at that altar, because of the interaction that had gone in that place, the moment Jacob came to that point, the Bible says was that he took a stone for a pillow, and as he slept, he had the visions of heaven. And the vision he had was that the Bible says he saw a ladder that reaches to the top of the heavens. He saw the Lord standing on that ladder, and he saw angels ascending and descending. And from thence he was able to hear the voice of God. When he arose out of that revelation, the Bible says to us that he says that the Lord was in this place, and I knew it not. In verse 18 of that chapter 28 or thereabout, the Bible says of Genesis, the Bible says he was dreadful. And what caused his dread? He said, this is the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. A man saw a place where a stone was mobilized, and he calls that place the house of God, without building, without structure. And he calls that same place the gate of heaven. It means that he knew by intelligence that this place is not an ordinary place. That was why I said the Lord was in this place, and I knew it not. He was unable to discern until he slept and he had that visions of heaven. Meanwhile, that thing that happened in that place had been hoisted a long time ago by his grandfather Abraham. The moment he arrived at that altar, he also entered into the heritage of that altar. Are you paying attention to me now? You see, your parents can do so much in God that you will enter into that heritage. And should, in case you don't have such parents, you can also become a parent that your children will enter into your heritage. That's why you are laboring. That on the strength of your labors, your children can come and say, they will call you blessed. They will not call you cursed. That was the inheritance that Jacob had, that Isaac had, that brought them that far. And that traveled and was transmitted to the life of Joseph. Joseph also experienced that same thing. He traveled to the life of the 12 tribes of Israel until he arrived at David. Until Jesus now eventually showed up. David secured a throne for Jesus Christ, but that happened by the ancestors. It started from time immemorial. They had secured a destiny in God, that everyone that came in that ancestry, they have the capacity to also feed off the priesthood intelligence that had happened. Are you me? So it's a genealogical thing. It's a genealogical thing. Are you following me? There are homes, for instance, that you will see that everyone that comes in that home, they are always laden with the responsibility of priesthood. Somebody or many persons amongst them will necessarily represent the purposes of God. Even if the parent who labored so well didn't fulfill destiny or the number of days that God had prepared, God will look for someone in that family that will continue that heritage. That family line, that family tree will never be rid of the purposes of God. Why? Because someone had labored, and God is looking for one person that he can transfer the labor of that person into. The Bible says others have labored, but you will enter into their labor. You will enter into it. You listen, you necessarily do not have to carve a niche. Are you me? You necessarily do not have to start something afresh. All you just need to do is to enter into inheritance. In Proverbs 22 and verse 28, the Bible says that you should not pull down the landmark, the ancient landmark of the fathers. In Jeremiah 6:16, the Bible says, stand in the way and ask for the ancient path and walk therein. The Bible says, but they said, we will not walk therein. And that's the danger of our generation. We want to start something new. Meanwhile, there's something on ground for you already that you only need to enter into and continue the progression, continue the procession as well. Are you following me now? There are labors on ground already. You don't have to start something afresh. No, sir.